And we're back. So here we go. The Seattle Expansion Draft Simulator via Cap Friendly. So obviously, I'm going to be like Ron Francis here. So at the cap floor, you're gonna need 48.9 million, and at the maximum cap hit is 81.5 million. There is no luxury tax because the NBA, the NBA has really weird salary cap rules where you can just go over and go into the luxury tax. So let's go here. Let's go and start off with Anaheim. Obviously, you have Getzlaff, who is making 8.2, but he's a UFA. Henrique looks promising. Backus, who's retired. Heinen, Milano, Grant, Rowney, Lettieri, Agozino, Carrick, DeLeo, Podolski, Sorensen, and Volkov. Shattenkirk, Fleury, Larson, Goulet, Walensky, Mahura, Carrick, and then obviously Stolars. Now, Ron Francis drafted Hayden Fleury in Carolina. I think Ron Francis is going to take a look at Hayden Fleury, but me personally, I would go with Alex Volkov. Volkov, very solid player. I've watched him against the Sharks last season. For the most part, Volkov has been pretty good. He's pretty good bottom six forward, and he's still young, and he can still blossom. He's 23. He's an RFA in a year, and you have those rights. You can negotiate and, basically see. Arizona. Ladd, Pitlick, Brassard, Fisher, Hayden, Bunting, Fashion, Peterson, Chaput, Gauthier, Goligoski, Yalmerson, who's obviously, LTIR at this point, Demers, Osterl, Labushkin, Deneen, Gross, Sayarvi, and then you got Ranta and Kozanash, who they just acquired from San Jose. So, who do I think they pick? Completely honest with you, I have no clue what you'd be looking for. But I would go with John Hayden. I think John Hayden would be pretty good. Now let's pull up his stats on Hockey Reference. John Hayden. All right, let's pull up his stats. So with Chicago, he's 4. But this season in 29, he had 5 and -4, 37 penalty minutes. And his goals were 2 on even strength and 2 game-winning goals. So he's a pretty important player for the Coyotes. And I think this pick would make sense in the fact that they need to have, a really young, bottom 6. And I see them either picking, they could pick Michael Bunting, Michael Chaput, Frederic Gauthier. If they want a defenseman, Osterl is not that bad, but Antti Ranta, I don't know if he gets picked up. Kozanash, I know might not get picked up. There is a possibility, though. But other than that, Cam Deneen is also a great pickup. But I go with John Hayden. All right, Boston. Krejci, Hall, Kasha, Ritchie, Wagner, Crowley, Lazar, Moore, Riley, Miller, who's retiring, Clifton, Lazan, Comfort, Zboril, Tenorti, Arneson, and then Rask, Halak, and Booth. I'm not taking a goaltender here. I am going to go with Lazan. Lazan, very young. He's still developing. I think Lazan, good pickup for Ron Francis. I can see why. So Jeff Skinner, Cody Eakin, Zemgus Girgensons, Akposo, Sheehan, Kajula, Reeder, Smith, and then obviously on the defense you got Colin Miller, McCabe, Will Borgen, Davidson. Then you got Hutton, Tokarski, and Hauser, unprotected. Honestly, I don't know who you pick up from Buffalo. Like, if there's a deal in place to take Jeff Skinner. I know there's a deal in place to take Kyle Akposo's, albatross of a contract. Me personally, though, I would go and, pick up... this is a hard one because Borgen is, let's look at Will Borgen. Okay, Will Borgen... Him statistic-wise, he's a -4, -5. He's 4 penalty minutes. He hasn't really played much. Whereas the guys that you think you have played much and got a lot of action are, on bloated deals. Like Zemgus Girgensons is a decent center, but he's getting paid a bit too much. Um, you know, he's a $2 million guy, but he's making 2.2, and I don't know if Ron Francis would take that. And then goaltending wise, I don't know if you take any of these. Hauser looks like an interesting guy. Like, he's a UFA, but he has an interesting, he looks interesting in the terms that they might have to pick him because, there's no one else really here that's worth picking. But I would argue that they pick up either Tobias Reeder or Drake Kajula, but I would go with Drake Kajula. It means we've drafted 3 forwards, a defenseman, and we haven't drafted goal yet. So Lucic, Derek Ryan, Levo, Froese, Matt Phillips, Richie, Kirkland, Ronaldo, and then we got Giordano, Shillington, Stone, Nestrov, Petrovic, and then Parsons and Domingue. Oliver Shillington, without a doubt. I would pick up Oliver Shillington here. Giordano looks good, but the thing is he has a year left and he's 37. There is big decline can happen within a year. There will be decline. So I go with Oliver Shillington. He's a very good prospect, and he could be sort of a Shea Theodore type of guy. Carolina. Now this is where Ron Francis and would go well. Me, not so much. I don't know what to do about this. You obviously have Nino Niederreiter, Brock McGinn, Martinuk, Paquette, Geeky, Smallman, Lawrence, McCormick, Rempal, and then Dougie Hamilton, Jake Gardner, Jake Bean, Yanni Hakanpää, LaJoie, Roland McCone, Eric Jelena, James Reimer, Peter Mrazek, Helvig, Wells, and Bibo. I'm going to Jake Bean. Like, you have an RFA. Dougie Hamilton, like, you would argue, why didn't you pick up Dougie Hamilton? Because Jake Bean is younger. He has much more upside. But Dougie Hamilton, he literally is like a Norris. He's like a Norris guy. He's a Norris guy. Like, why won't you pick him up? Because, you're just going to pick up a UFA just to lose him. You do get negotiating rights, but, like, if they fall through, he's going to be a UFA purely. And Jake Bean, solid pickup. He's an RFA, and you're getting him, and you can re-sign him. And let's face it, Ron Francis knows a lot of these guys that he's brought in because he's brought in these guys. But I would go Jake Bean. So, Chicago, Connolly, Smith, Carpenter, Nostroza, Gaudette, Dickinson, Peary, Quenville, Dehaan, Zadorov, Lindholm, Delia, Subban. Pretty self-centered for me. I'm going to go with Adam Gaudette. He's an RFA. A lot of people in Vancouver a bit apprehensive on the guy, but I think he can do well. Colorado, Landeskog, Saad, Donskoy, Comfer, Calvert, Belmar, Tynan, Dries, Sherwood. Holy shit, you have a ton of just guys that can play. You have a ton of guys here that you can just pick up. Honestly, I'm going to Jonas Donskoy. Like, I might be a biased Sharks fan, but Jonas Donskoy, my goodness, was just so extremely well for Colorado and the Sharks. As a guy that can play in the middle 6, top 6, bottom 6. You can put him anywhere, and he will score. He will play. He's a two-way type of winger. That's pretty much what you want with your team. And I think Donskoy, people are underrating the guy. Like, honestly, Landeskog and Saad sound like good pickups. But the thing is, they're UFAs. And I don't know if Landeskog wants to go to Seattle. I don't know if Saad wants to go to Seattle. But I think Donskoy is a pretty good pickup. And you have him for 2 years. So I would consider it. Or a year and a half, rather. But, yeah. Columbus, Domi, Grigorenko, Stenlund, Dalpe, Gervais, Poo, Sherwood, Matteau, McGinnis, Thurkoff, Czar, then Kukin, Harrington, Carlson, Bayreuther, Clendenning, Delzato, Cam Johnson. Here's the thing. So because of the tragic death, rest in peace, to Matisse Kivelniks, they were granted exemption, and Merzlikins is the one that's being exempt. So Cam Johnson is the one that's being left unprotected. Honestly, from Columbus, I'm going with Kevin Stenlund. And yeah, Dallas. There's not much to do here with Dallas. Ben Bishop has waived his no movement clause. I would go. Honestly, I would go with Jamie Alexiak. He's his rights. He's a pretty good defenseman. I would take that in a heartbeat. Compared to what else I'm seeing, like Cogliano has a pretty big contract, but he's expiring. And if you get like a Sakara, you can move him, or a Pissick, or a Yul Hanley, you can move that. You can certainly. I don't know if you can move a Ben Bishop type of contract, but you can move. You can find a way to move some of these. So here we go, Detroit, and now here we go, Troy Stecher. I mean, he was just such an exceptional defenseman last year for the Red Wings and for Vancouver. So I would pick him for Seattle. Now you may be asking, well, how about Jonathan Bernier? Wait, wait for my goaltending picks. Wait, what the hell? Why doesn't Edmonton have a protected goaltender? Yeah, wait. Are these the like updated? I gotta make sure that these are the updated protected lists because, because I just want to make sure that there's like nothing wrong with the protected lists. Here, because if I'm actually not like, oh, so they did protect Stuart Skinner. All right, so Edmonton. You got Neil, Chason, Torres, Kyra, Ennis, Cahoon, Marudi, Benson, and then you got Clefbaum, who might not play another NHL game. Adam Larson, Peter Chiarelli, you freaking, oh my god. Russell, Tyson Berry, Kulikov, Kokok, Lagesson, and then Koskinen, Smith, and Stalock. You're going for Tyson Berry's 29, Chris Russell's 34, Larson's 28, Clefbaum, who might not play again. Or you could go with Dominic Cahoon. Anton Slepchev's obviously there. But I would go with Tyson Berry. You can re-sign him, hopefully. If not, you can flip his rights to somewhere. And you can get some pretty good baggage for it if you're Ron Francis. Florida, Chris Drieger. I mean, they're going to sign Chris Drieger. You pick him up, and then you'll be able to sign him. I don't see Seattle picking anyone else, really. Gudis. And obviously Wenberg and Lomberg look like guys that could get picked up, but other than that, don't really see anything else. All right, Los Angeles. You got Brendan Lemieux, Athanasiou, Wagner, Lizotte, Grunstrom, Ferk, Matt Luff, Mata, Wolanin, Clague, McDermott, and then you got Quick and Grosnick. So obviously, because I'm a fan of a division rival, we saw the Kings a lot. I saw a lot of Kings action. Athanasiou was pretty decent. Lemieux was a nice, sort of enforcer type of guy. Lizotte, Blake Lizotte is a guy that I think Ron Francis would definitely give a shot at. But, Athanasiou, he's sort of already a proven guy that is still young, just hasn't taken that next step yet. And maybe in Seattle he can take that next step. In Seattle, if he can take that next step, completely possible. Minnesota, you got Johansson, Bonino, Rask, Bukestad, Bitten, Sokolov, Dumont, Johnson, Rao, Cole, Susi, Hunt, Bartkowski, McCoshin, Mermis, Belpedio, Manel, Kakkonen, Hammond. I would go with Capo Kakkonen, right out of the gate, because honestly, you're getting a 24-year-old goaltender who has a year left, on his deal, and he's an RFA. Or you could go for Victor Rask, who's a UFA, is a 28-year-old, and he's been very solid. I'm a bit torn on this because, the next team right here, Montreal, I'll have some surprising stuff to say about it. But honestly, I'm going with Victor Rask. And here we go. Montreal. You got Drouin, Tatar, Byron, Danault, Stahl, Veal, Frolik, Perry, Dauphine, Blandisi, Hudon, and you got Shea Weber, who might not play hockey again, Brett Kulak, Gustafson, Merrill, Fleury, Olofsson, Ouellette, Carey Price, Lindgren, McNeven. You want to know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to go for Carey Price. He has 4 years left on that deal. You're taking on $10.5 million. He's going to get him until he's 37. Okay. Here's the thing. I got another goalie in Chris Drieger. How old is Drieger? He's 27 years old. At the time of the expansion draft, he will be 27. For the 4 years, if you keep him for 4 years, you'll have a 31-year-old Chris Drieger, a 37-year-old Carey Price, and whoever other goalie that I might pick up. Carey Price is a proven goaltender, and the fact that they did this just so they could protect Jake Allen, and then you see their desperation here. They leave Deno unprotected. They leave Drouin unprotected. They leave Merrill and Gustafson unprotected. Well, obviously they had to, but there's a lot of great talent that you can steal from this, and you have the supreme talent with Carey Price that you can take. So I would go with Carey Price, just completely. I would go with Carey Price. It's just a solid pickup. Nashville, Duchesne, Johansson, Mikael Granlund, Sissons, Yarncroc, Howlett, Cousins, Trennan, Borowetsky, Goodbranson, Benning, Allard, Harper, Rene, who's retired, and Ingram. I would go with Yakov Trenin. He's a young guy. He still has time to develop. You should be fine. He has a year left on that RFA deal. Pretty good. New Jersey. I would go here and see what they have to offer. New Jersey wise. Colton White. PK Subban. So let's look up Colton White. Let's look him up. Colton White. As far as hockey reference, he hasn't really done much. He's barely gotten any action. Honestly, what I would do. All right, Will Butcher. Will Butcher. He's being left unprotected. He has that contract, which is a bit friendly for some teams. Will Butcher could easily get flipped. Like, look at that. He's obviously in the minus. He used to be like a really damn good prospect. See, he had 44. He's starting to decline off a bit, but he used to be a very good defenseman in his heyday. But I would go with Will Butcher. You can flip him because of the success that he's had. 30. Not so long ago, he was a 30-point defenseman, and you could use that to your advantage to flip him. So you got the Islanders. You got your Jordan Eberle, Josh Bailey, Cizikas, Komarov, Zajac, Palmieri, Panik, Johnston, Bellows, Koivula, Hickey, Coburn, Van de Sompel, Wotherspoon, Appleby, and Schneider. All right. For the Islanders, I think it would be pretty simple. Obviously you have a lot of other talent that are coming in later. I would go with Kiefer Bellows. He's young. He's still, very good. Go with Kiefer Bellows. The Rangers, you got Barclay Goodrow, Gauthier, Ronning, Greco, Gettinger, Blackwell, and then you got Tony DeAngelo, Brendan Smith, Jack Johnson, Bitetto, Nick DeSimone, Gerritsen, and Keith Kincaid. Honestly, you would be getting Barclay Goodrow, but I think he's going to New York, so I think he's completely off of the table. Honestly, I would go with Colin Blackwell. Like, he's been pretty solid this year for the Rangers, and I think that he could be even better in Seattle. Ottawa, you got Brown, Golubouf, Wickstrand, but it's all mostly the forward core. You have Stepan, Dadonov, Anisimov, Tierney, Dzingel, Davidson, Magwood, Kopaka, Shaw, Michael Healy, Amadio, Clark, Bodine, and Pekka. Honestly, the way I see things, I don't know whether or not they do really anything here. But Marcus Hoberg, who is an RFA, and he's heading out. But they still have rights. Joey Decord. Joey Decord, for what it's worth, okay? Joey Decord. He got hurt, but before he got hurt, he was doing very well as a goaltender. He was doing very well. Although the stats may say otherwise, the wins column, he played 8 games, and obviously, 3 goals allowed, but at 8.97. If you have him behind Carey Price and Chris Drieger, he can develop and learn a thing or two in 2 years, and I think that's something that would be very helpful for Joey Decord. Now, Voracek, Van Riemsdyk, Rupsov, Laberge, Kase, Andreev, Morin, Gostis, Bear, Braun, Haig, Puglia, Wotherspoon, Nate Prosser, Bigra, Elliott, Sandstrom, Leon. I would go with Justin Braun. Probably flip him. Like, Braun, not very good defenseman anymore. But I think you could still get some value off of him. Pittsburgh, you got Zucker, Tanev, Sevior, Aston Reese, Gaudreau, Yankowski, Rodriguez, Pontus Aberg, Pedersen, Ceci, Ricola, Ruedel, Schuschman, who I believe retired, right? And then DeSmith and Lagasse. Honestly, I would go with Brandon Tanev. He's still, the contract surprisingly working out in JR's favor. I think it should be fine, him being picked up. San Jose. This is the team I have most of my knowledge on. Now, what I would say is pick up Martin Jones. Please, for the love of fucking Christ. Ron Francis, pick up Martin Jones. No. Donato, Sorensen, True, Halgebox, Letunov, Gambrell, Marlo Nieto, Gabriel, Patterin, Simic, Yarosh, Middleton, Milosh, Jones. I would pick up, Ryan Donato still hasn't peaked yet. He's 25. He's 1.9 million. He's bounced around the league from Boston, where he was drafted. He was playing in Harvard, and then he went to Boston as a college student. Honestly, Gambrell seems like, he's a Seattle native. It makes sense. But when you look at it, Alex True has been just sitting in the AHL, and he's been a good talent. Same with Ryan Donato. He can be a center. He can be a left wing. He can be a right wing. Put him anywhere. Donato obviously makes sense, and he's an RFA. I'm going with Ryan Donato from San Jose. At St. Louis, you got Jaden Schwartz, Tarasenko, Bozak, Hoffman, Sanford, Blay, Clifford McEachern, Anas, Delaros, Kaspic, Kurt McKenzie, Stevens, Walker, Poganaski, Scandella, Dunn, Bortuzzo, Wallman, Santini, Lindbaum, and then Husso, Fitzpatrick, and Gillies. Why is why do the Blues and the Capitals like to exchange players? Super weird. Now, Tarasenko's making $7.5 million. It's like, take that in a fucking heartbeat. Please. Tarasenko is just he used to be so good, and he still is so good. And that's a player you need when you start out a franchise. You need someone that has been very good and that can, play well, and that's the best thing about it. You got Palat, Gore, Johnson, Killorn, Coleman, Maroon, Cacho, Karadesh, Ruda, Savard, Foot, Shen, McElhaney, Gibson, Spencer. Honestly, I don't know what you do with this two-time champion here in Tampa Bay. You got Jamel Smith, Walcott, and then Ross Colton. I would go the Ross Colton. You got Palat, Yanni Gord, Tyler Johnson, but you don't want that big contract because you want to make space up for your you need to make space up for that free agency market. Now, there aren't that many good centers, I will admit, and I haven't really picked up many good centers, which leads us to Toronto. You got Travis Dermott, you got Riddick, Anderson, Michael Hutchinson. I would go with Alex Kerfoot. Now, they left both Kerfoot and McCann, who they just acquired, mind you, unprotected, which is interesting. But I would go with Kerfoot. He kills penalties. He does it well. And Adam Brooks can fit in that role well for Toronto. The Canucks. Oh my God, Louis Eriksson. Yes. Okay, no, not Louis Eriksson. You got Eriksson, Sutter, Berchi, Beagle, Roussel, Virtanen, VC, Cole Lind, Highmore, Grauvac, Boyd, and then you got Edler, Hamonic, Bowie, Brisbois, Chatfield, Rafferty, and then Brain Holtby. I would go with Cole Lind. He is still young. He's still an RFA. You can negotiate well. And Jim Benning, you are not going to be selling me on Louis Eriksson. So Washington, Alex Ovechkin is the big thing. And honestly, I think there's a deal set in place so you don't take Alex Ovechkin. But as far as the Washington Apples, Michael Kempney has been, he's still pretty good. He's still pretty good, and I'd pick up Michael Kempney. Winnipeg, Paul Stastny. You got Mason Appleton, Nate Thompson, Skylar McKenzie, C.J. Swice, Mike O'Donnell, Dylan DeMello, who used to be former San Jose Shark. So I know a bit about DeMello. Ben, Beaulieu, Forbert, Pullman, Green, and Sami Niku. Then you got Brossois, Berdine, Comrie, Kaler, and yeah. So this one's a bit interesting. Now, would I go with Paul Stastny? I mean, he's still a top 6 guy, and he was on the last expansion team, Vegas, in their all-in year. But really, I don't know who to go with here. Marco Dano, and then obviously Toninato. Sami Niku, though, I would go with, just so you can see what you can get out of the guy. And yeah, let's go to our team here. So we have Tarasenko, Victor Rask, Donskoy, Tanev, Kerfoot, Stenlin, Volkov, Blackwell, Trennan, Ross Colton, Hayden, Kajula, Bellows, Donato, Athanasiou, Gaudet, and Cole Lind. A lot of these guys, obviously minors. I don't think they would be in minors with Seattle. Then you got Butcher, Kempney, Braun, Stetcher, Lauzon, Niku, Alexiak, Bean, Barry, Shillington. And then you got Price, Dacord, and Drieger. Basically, you have, this cap hit is around 64.4 million, but the projected cap hit here is 48.3, and then you got 33 million in freed up cap space. And if you flip some of these guys, you could go out for Dougie Hamilton, you could go out for top line centers, and you have cap space to make trades. You have the cap space to make those trades. So yeah, there's my team. There's my Seattle team. Yeah, I don't know what Ron Francis is gonna do. If they want to base their success off of Vegas, they have to look for players that are, uncut gems. Players that have been, that haven't been that great, that have shown flashes, but if they're in the right scenario, they can perform well. Yeah, those are my Seattle expansion picks. After looking at the protected list, like, comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends. I sort of make the hockey guy type videos. It's just I don't have whiteboards, and I don't really have a decent enough camera, and I just screw around at home looking at hockey statistics all day. So I decided to share that with all of you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.